And we're live. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining Dr. Nancy O'Reilly and myself, Dr. Sheila Robinson, for our afternoon segment of Moving Forward, your leadership connection during these times. You know, I can't think of a better day to have Dr. Nancy O'Reilly on, who is so inspiring and uplifting. And right now, with everything that's going on outside of our doors with COVID and other things that we won't get into. We just need our spirits uplifted. We need our spirits uplifted, and we need tips and tools to, you know, spiritually gather today to move each other forward. And that is what our time together is about. It's about shifting our mindsets from powerlessness and the powerlessness of the things that are going around us that we have no control of, and shifting our mindsets to becoming powerful. And while what we like to do is we always like to see who is joining us and from what areas. And so I'm going to ask everyone to go to your chat box on the right where it says click on all panelists and attendees. And just say hello to Dr. Nancy and I, and let us know where you're calling in from. We're glad to greet you. We want to engage you. There'll be opportunities for you to ask questions. Laura from Chicago, Patty. Hi, Patty from Virginia. Rhonda, Atlanta. Oh, from the National Women's History Museum in Alexandria, Virginia. Another Adrian from Virginia. Oh, Svetlana from Los Angeles. And you're going to get the gift for being on every, and I do really have a gift. You're going to get a gift because you have been on every single webinar we have had. We have Bianca in Deerfield, Louisville, North Carolina, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Oh, look, Sandy from Burlington. Hi, Sandy, right here. I'm right around the corner from you, upstate New York, Alabama, Greensboro, North Carolina. So Northern California. And Nancy, where are you dialing in from? Arizona, California, Nancy.
I'm at the equestrian center in Somas, California.
So California, Springfield,
California.
Missouri. Hello, Melissa from Springfield, Missouri, and Nora from Illinois. Well, thank you all so much for being here with us today. We are so excited to talk about the wonderful topic Dr. Nancy O'Reilly is going to be sharing with us today. But what I want to do is I want to give her a proper introduction before we get started. Also, keep in mind, feel free to be engaged on the chat when you hear something of interest or want to chime in. If you'd like to ask us a question throughout our program this afternoon, I'll put a question in the Q&A. But Dr. Nancy O'Reilly, international philanthropist and trailblazers for women's empowerment, yes, she is. She believes women who define themselves and others as leaders will hasten their advancement to equality. They will hasten their advance to equality, my apology. She's a successful author and educator, and in 2019, she released her latest book, In This Together: How Successful Women Support Each Other in Business and Life, to coincide with the release of a new documentary featuring her work championing women's equality and advancement. Dr. Nancy and her team at Women Connect for Good are launching Lift Women Up. And she's going to do a lot of that today. This will focus on the steps, big and small, that we all can take to continue marching towards gender parity. Throughout the next year, while the documentary airs on PBS, and congratulations on that, Dr. O'Reilly, that's phenomenal accomplishment. They're going to be highlighting different influential women and their powerful stories to inspire others to lift women up in everyday lives. And that's what we want you to do on this call today. We want you to be lifted up, and we want you to lift others up. Dr. Nancy founded Women Connect for Good, a 501c3 foundation that has provided support for many national and international charities, and she serves on the boards of several social nonprofit groups as chairman for Take the Lead, Inc., whose mission is to prepare, develop, inspire, and propel women to leadership parity across all sectors by 2025. She has a podcast available on drnancyoreilly.com, drnancyoreilly.com, make a note of that. And she features interviews with smart, amazing women and men, and her timely articles have appeared on popular national blogs. Having earned many awards, Dr. Nancy was honored in Los Angeles recently by the National Women's History Museum with a Women Making History Award in 2020 as one of a select group of women who have made a significant contribution to their field and inspiration to people everywhere. Formerly, that was what that award was. I'm sorry, I'm reading too fast, trying to hurry up and get to you, Dr. Nancy. But this award in Los Angeles, I was invited to, and unfortunately I was unable to make it, but it was for a select group of women who had made significant contributions in their field. Formerly, Dr. Nancy was honored in Washington, D.C. at the 2018 Canales Project with 20 other women, including Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. As a licensed psychologist, Dr. Nancy has served for many years on the governor-appointed Missouri Committee of Psychologists. Additionally, she has acted as the director of a large employee assistance program and as a nationally certified crisis team leader in New York City after 9/11. While she travels widely, she spends much of her time in California and invites everyone to join her in reaching out to support women in the pursuit of leadership, equality, safety, and success. So we have a special little gift for you today. You're going to be able to see a snippet of her documentary that will air on PBS. Now, we're not going to play too much of it, but just enough to get you excited about what is to come, and then we'll dive right into our Q&A with Dr. Nancy O'Reilly.
In today's global economy, gender diversity matters more than ever before. In fact, according to recent statistics, women control the consumer economy, represent 57% of college graduates, half of the workforce, and are entering positions like law and medicine in numbers equal to men. We can rise to equality when we lift women up and support each other. Women's empowerment and movements matter more now than ever before. International philanthropist and licensed psychologist Dr. Nancy O'Reilly champions women's equality and advancement with her speaking, books, and support of Women Helping Women networks. She works with groups to teach women to overcome gender bias, get men as allies, help women claim their power, and change ideas of what a leader looks like. We're in this together. It's time for women to lift each other up. Learn how at liftwomenup.com.
It's time for women to lift women up. Welcome, Dr. Nancy O'Reilly. Just want to hear from you. Just start out. You can just say hello to everyone, whatever you want to say to start out. We're just so glad you're here.
Well, I'm so excited to be with my BFF, Sheila, Dr. Yes. Sheila. So good to see you.
Yes.
No, I'm so excited. This is, we, like I said, in this together. I hear this all the time now. I love it. The title of the book, I had no idea that we'd be hearing this over and over again, but I'm hearing this in the news. I'm seeing it in written words written. I mean, I think that's the best thing, is that people really understand however we can do it. We're going to have to do it in this together. So I'm so excited to be here. I love it. Love it. Hello to everyone, everywhere.
Yes, and thank you all for joining us. Well, I would like to kick it off with a few questions to get us going. Just so fascinated by everything about Dr. O'Reilly. you're sitting there with your horses. Tell us about your horses. That wasn't in your bio. All the amazing work that you do with your horses, that matters to me. So please share that about where you are.
Yeah. Well, actually, probably I can just be really honest with you and say that without the horses, without me, my first horse I bought in 2012. Without the horses, and I have a lot more than that right now, but I'm not going to tell you how many. But anyway, without horses, I wouldn't be sitting here. You know, I don't think anybody understands how animals truly can impact you. But the horses, I was going through a really, really difficult time in my life. And a good friend of mine, took me to the barn and introduced me to Arabian horses. And since then, in 2012, my life has never been better.
Wow.
With the horses. Horses are they're one of the most sensitive animals that you'll ever meet in your whole life. And they if they trust you, and you really do develop a relationship. Every one of them has a different personality, and they really do sense everything in you. So they really are about now, so that you're constantly checking on where you are, because a horse will let you know pretty quickly. But horses are amazing. And now I have this equestrian center, riding, showing, breeding horses. I've got 2 new babies on the ground. My latest just came about 3 weeks ago. Her name is Coco Chanel. She is absolutely adorable. So, I could talk about horses all day long, but I invite everyone to come to Southern California Equestrian Center and come and see some beautiful, amazing Arabian horses. And right now I've got 2 babies on the ground, 1's on the way. So I can't wait to get my next one on the ground. So they're wonderful.
Well, Dr. O'Reilly, we're going to have a special treat out there when we get beyond COVID. So I'm going to hold you to that. I can't wait to visit. But I wanted to ask you, why did you decide to focus on women's empowerment? You mentioned that you went through a period, your horses, helped you heal and recover and have meant so much to you. Share a little bit about your, women's empowerment and helping women like me and those of us on the call.
Well, I know Sheila and I've talked about this a little bit. I think you are kind of a tomboy too. I think, and when I was growing up, I don't even know, it was never really spoken so much, but I really always thought boys were more valued than girls. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I became a tomboy. I was absolutely into every sport conceivable. And, when I was 13, my older sister, Stephanie, said, "Nancy, when are you ever going to be a girl?" And I looked at her and I thought, what is she talking about? Well, anyway, fast forward, never going to get married, never going to have children. Those words that you have to eat over and over again, always, never. Anyway, fell in love and got married, and my first child came. And, I never expected to, I guess I just assumed I'd have boys. Well, my first daughter was born, and I went, oh, a girl. What am I going to do with her? Then my second one was born, a girl. Oh, my goodness. And then my third. And by then, I was starting to get the message, oh, God, she's got a great sense of humor. So really, for me, it became really learning about being a woman, learning about the importance of the feminine part of myself that was so very, very valuable, because leaving a legacy is so extremely important to me. And, again, I was watching the media, how women were basically being treated, be young, be beautiful, if you want to be loved. So all these messages were not empowering me, and I didn't think were going to empower my daughters either. So it became clear to me that my message was that I had to really work on first empowering myself, and then helping other women to do the same thing, with my daughters very much in mind every step of the way.
Well, as a psychologist, what do you think were, some of the things that are missing in women's lives that you really have seen through your practice, mm-hmm. that even me and some of those women that maybe we could take heed to, that can help us, apply more self-care to our lives? Yeah.
Well, I'm going to use an example because I've always found this was interesting. When you say to another woman, for example, I'm going to go have a massage, they go, ooh, You're going to have a massage. Well,
Mhm.
you know what? Massages are very therapeutic. I ride. I exercise. Massages really, without those massages, I probably wouldn't be riding horses right now. But the important thing is women need to understand that they have to take care of themselves and that we are valuable and we are deserving. And so what I find a lot of times is the self-worth that women have towards themselves. You know, I have to value myself first. I have to I have to like myself. I have to have self-esteem about myself, but it's really women giving themselves permission to be whatever they choose to be and not waiting for somebody else to tell them or to accept them or to give them permission.
Mhm. That's great. You know, I've often heard that I think there are 5 things in our lives, and when one of those are off kilter, you know, it causes us disbalance. And I think is, you know, your work life, your relationship. You know, I think one of them is money, and I think, you know, I can't think. Oh, it's our health, and you know, certainly the way we eat and stuff. And so, what were some things that we could do when we know that something is off kilter here? If I got a clink in the relationship or with the child, that's causing all of these other things to be off kilter, what is something you might recommend that we could do to help get more
Yeah.
focus
Yeah.
and lift ourselves up?
Well, what we're telling people and what I've been telling myself during this, especially this time, it really is an opportunity to take care of yourself. I mean, it has to start with us. I know you're doing a book on diet and exercise and health, and it really is, you know, when I'm healthy, I'm happier. When I'm eating well, I'm happier. You know, our relationships are important, but until we really start to think about, you know, and it's not selfish. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. So I think really checking in to see how you're doing with yourself oftentimes is the way to see how you reflect, how you're coming across to other people. Because again, if I'm not well and I'm not feeling well, I'm going to behave and act that way in the world as well, and the people that I come in contact with.
That is so true. So I just love the fact that you are you know, a psychologist, and you know, I just had to ask those few questions. And you're author too. So let's talk a little bit about Lift Women Up. You know,
Yes. Yes.
this book. So tell me about what's special about Lift Women Up, and share with us today on how we can be lifted and lift others up.
Well, you know, first of all, the book, In This Together, How Successful Women Support Each Other in Business and Life. The key is support. It's so important. I know you and I have talked about this over and over again. Until we actually support one another, we're not getting anywhere. Lift Women Up is just very, very simple. It's so simple that we can do it each and every day of our lives. You know, when you're successful, I mean, I know, Sheila, this is what you do. You lift every woman up as you rise, as your voice becomes stronger and more important in the world, you're always lifting another woman up as you go. I mean, every single day, you know, we can lift another woman up. I'm reading Madeleine Albright's book right now. It's called Hell and Other Destinations. But she's the woman who said there's a special place in hell for women who do not support each other. And I think that's number one. And, you know, people keep wondering why we're not as far along in leadership and as far as gender equity and equality. It's that oftentimes it's because we women sometimes can be our own worst enemies. But you know what? We've seen it over and over again in all the conferences, the diversity and conferences, when we have diversity and inclusion. It's amazing what happens. I remember the last conference we were all together. We were actually out in the world. And this woman came up to me and she was smiling she was just grinning, smiling from ear to ear. And I said, well, how are you doing? She says, I'm fantastic. And I said, well, what's going on? She goes, this is the first conference I've ever been to that I feel the support. She says, it's just like, you know, I've never felt better in my entire life. I mean, when women finally understand, you know, anything is possible. You can put 5 women in a room together and plan it and, you know, get a budget for it. It's done. You know, women can do it. We do it over and over again. We are the problem solvers. The hand that rocks the cradle can rock the world. And boy, I sure believe that.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
do too. Carol, yes, I love that too. That is absolutely right. Absolutely. So
All right.
no, I mean, it really has to start with us every single day, every single day. And every little girl, every little boy, we start immediately lifting them up. I mean, and it just carries over. It's a great, great feeling.
And sometimes we don't even realize that we do have something to offer others, because it's so easy to wake up and say, you know what, I have all of this going on. What do I have to offer? But we do, no matter how small or minute the problem. It seems we do have something to offer. So we did receive some questions from you in advance, and we'll ask you a few of the questions I'm going to take a look at. Um, you said our differences can be challenges, but they can also be opportunities. Could you elaborate? I like that one.
Yeah. Well, but the one thing, you talked about the fact that I do a podcast, it's Conversations with Dr. Nancy. What's amazing is that when we tell our story, I've always begun every one of those podcasts was tell me your story, tell me about you. There's always a connection. Sure, we have differences, but when it comes down to it, many things that we think are differences are we're very much alike, and our challenges can always become opportunities. But by communicating and talking with one another, it's amazing what we can share and learn from each other. But that it's key. If you started telling me your story of who you are, Sheila, who are you? Where do you come from? What are the things in your life that have really helped you to be who you are? There is always a connection. There is always a connection. But our differences, yes, can be our challenges, but they definitely are opportunities to learn from each other. But we have to share those thoughts and share those ideas. When women find their voices, when we find our voice, then things really start to happen.
And that is so beautifully said, because as challenging as the times we're going through right now, there has been so many opportunities for us to connect with each other like I never would before. You hear people talking about having the Zoom wine parties. You see us, intimately engaging like we are. These are opportunities for us to connect as we are now. So thank you for that, Nancy. And a reminder, those of you online with us, if you have a question, please put it in the Q&A. So another question here is, what made you start the foundation?
Okay. Well, as we discussed, these podcasts, I started doing these about 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I was having a conversation, we'll call her Mary. And this is a woman who'd written a book, and it was a wonderful book. And she had this mission to help other women. And she said, I said, Mary, I said, what can I do to help you? How can we help you in your mission and what you're doing in your life? And on the other end of the phone, it became completely quiet. I thought maybe the call had dropped. And all of a sudden, this voice comes on the line and says, you mean you want to help me? And it was we all have those aha moments. A light bulb went off. And I thought this simple question that I ask, how can I help you, started everything. Women Connect for Good came from that particular event, that time, because I realized that was more powerful than anything I could possibly ever do, is how I could support other women.
Oh my God, that is amazing. So Women Connect for Good came about with the foundation. How in the world do you find time to be on boards and to help so many people? And by the way, she's a big supporter of Diversity Woman. She comes to our conferences, she speaks on panels, and she lifts us all up, and she keeps us all engaged. And so, what inspires you to be on the boards and continue to do what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, again, the missions of Diversity Women and take the lead. I mean, there's a there's a common bond. I like to think of diversity women take the lead and women connect for good as the trifecta. You know, when we collaborate and we support each other. I mean, I really truly do. I say what I say and I do what I truly mean. But we're all going to get a lot further when we join forces and we join and collaborate with our resources. So to me, everything that I do is just more inclusive in the ways to help women and men to be more successful in their lives and to truly find that happiness. But how about changing the world for good? You and I both talk about that. Let's make the world a better place for all of us.
So I like how you said "and men." So share some examples of how you're collaborating with men and how because I once heard the governor of the state of North Carolina say that when Governor Belle Perdue, when she was governor, she said, "Look, I got nothing against me." And she was speaking at a women's leadership conference. She said, "I'm married to one and I had two." So she said, but we need to work together as women, but we also have to collaborate with the men as well.
Yeah. Well, let's look at it this way. There are men that we're going to collaborate with, and there are women that we're going to collaborate with, and there are men that we're not going to be able to, and there are women also. So I think the important thing, actually, I'll be honest with you, to tell you the truth, your first conference, the first Diversity Women's Conference I attended, which is many years ago now, you were the first to really bring in the male allies. I mean, you all were, the room was full of absolutely wonderful men that were there supporting the women's efforts. And I mean, it again was another aha moment, that diversity and that inclusion also included men. I was recently in England. I spoke in Oxford, which was definitely a true honor. But, I was talking about In This Together. And the last chapter of the book is a book all about male allies. And it was interesting because then I started talking about the book, but then I started talking about the importance of men and how we all need to support one another. But it was almost like that the men in the room took a breath. They went, ah. And I think that again was another moment where I truly understood that we're not getting anywhere until we all come together. And the men, when they truly, when we truly ask, how can we help? How can we help? Or how can you help me? I mean, those two questions alone open up so many opportunities for both of us to truly move forward in our lives. But, oftentimes what I hear, how can I help you? Men want to know that just as much as women want to know that. It's just communication.
And communications and a lot of awareness in there. So just for the purposes of moving forward, keep in mind that there is a lot that we can say on this call, but this call is about shifting our mindsets to positive, effective action. So Dr. O'Reilly and I are going to talk with the glass half full instead of half empty on everything we talk about. So share a little bit about Take the Lead. I love the work you're doing. I actually love the programming that Gloria Felt has going on, because you share some of that in case there are women on the call who would like to get involved in some of the work on Take the Lead.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Take the Lead is a leadership program. It's a curriculum program, but really it's more based on cohorts more than anything. 50 women change the world is really the concept, but 50 women in journalism, 50 women in insurance, 50 women in healthcare. I mean, when you take 50 women who are selected by other women at the top of the field and put them into these curriculum programs of leadership, then you end up with these networks and these community of women who are going out in the world and creating leadership in their own professions and their own cohorts. So, I mean, it's a growing community of women who are beginning to understand the importance that even within their own professions and their own cohorts, they can truly make an impact. But then when we all come together, those cohorts and that community continues to grow more and more. So it's a leadership program based on cohorts, so which come together, all of us come together to do that, exactly that. The goal is 2025 is to have gender parity in the United States of America. As we all know, we're not quite there. We have one last glass ceiling to truly break, and that's women's leadership at the ultimate top position as far as leadership in our country. So again, the importance is, again, in this program is that, again, lifting women up, but also supporting other women as you go, lift as you rise. So every woman leaves the program and the training and goes out as an ambassador for women and working with men as well. So it's a collaboration. It's again, a feel-good organization that we understand that women have to have their voices and go into every sector, every cohort, and really make a difference. So it's a movement. It's definitely a movement, but it's one that we truly need, and it identifies the importance of leadership for women in our country.
So, and I love that. And it just brings me to, we have done so much has done to get us to 2020, where we had footprints in place with Take the Lead and many other organizations to reach gender parity by 2025. And now we have the disruption of COVID-19. Mm-hmm. So do you have any ideas or anything you want to share with us how we as individuals are going to have to do our part to make sure that we do continue moving forward and not take one step backwards?
Okay. Well, and again, I think a lot of it, again, it has to start with each individual person, man or woman, that we really have to identify our strengths and identify what really is important to us at this time. I'm really, we're talking about relationships, but this is the opportunity to really define who we are and what we really want to be, what we really want to do, what we want to be in this world, and of course, supporting each other. And for women especially, we've got to continue to look at what we can do in our communities and how we support each other. And more than anything, we have to just continue to join forces.
Okay, look like we have a question here for you, Dr. O'Reilly, from Cheryl. Cheryl wants to know, how can we connect with your empowerment movement, Dr. Nancy and Dr. O'Reilly, Dr. Nancy and Dr. Sheila. So Nancy, if you would share how they can connect with you on your podcast and the movements that you have, and then I will share what we are doing as well.
Okay, well, importantly, buy the book. Buy the book.
Yes.
It's a say and do book. We really, I would really like to see, hopefully this become a curriculum in women's studies and in leadership programs. But then, of course, Lift Women Up, this campaign that is ongoing. This is one thing that you can do very simply. Just go to drnancyoreilly.com, but join the Lift Women Up campaign. We have a toolkit. We have a toolkit that they can go in and become a part of. But, growing our community is the key. If there's more like-minded women like us, then, anything is possible. We're going to come out of this really we're going to come out to the other side in a much better place if we really, truly take this opportunity to learn and to grow.
Okay, and what is your where do you want them to go to? Which website? I'm going to
drnancyoreilly.com, and then Lift Women Up, or Lift Women Up, Lift Women Up. Just go to Dr. Nancy for Lift Women Up campaign.
Okay, so Lift Women Up campaign and Dr. Nancy O'Reilly. So this and to get connected with Diversity Woman, just go to diversitywoman.com, because I'm not going to spend an ounce of our time with Dr. O'Reilly talking about Diversity Woman, because we're in this together. And so that is the theme of our call today, in this together. So I want to hear, I have questions here that I can ask. So I want to hear questions from you callers. Remember, Dr. Nancy O'Reilly is a psychologist, an author, an expert on women's leadership, and she is here for us today. So, next question. How do you think women can best navigate this new normal? I like to call it a better normal, because when we think of new normal, we already know it's not going to ever go back to where it was But when we say new normal, it feels that it's something that we are a little powerless over because we don't know what it's going to look like. But if we focus on some of the positive things that are coming out of it, that we are all working together, moving forward to do, it's going to be a better normal. It has to be. So Dr. O'Reilly.
Yeah. We had a discussion about this yesterday on a meeting for Take the Lead. And, I was calling it new normal, and they went, no, people going, I want to call it this, the next chapter. I think that's what we have to look at is what's next. And planning is important. I think it is important to start planning, what we can do as far as the next steps, and again, take what's working with you. What's working with you. And, relationships, I think you're absolutely correct. This is so important right now. I think definitely there's some relationships that have grown during this time. We're reaching out. We've had to reach out to the people in our lives that are important. Those are our support systems. Those are our cheerleaders. Those are our coaches. Mm-hmm. Keep them growing and on your side, and vice versa. Who are you coaching? Who are you supporting? I mean, it's such a wonderful thing when we help each other. But again, the next steps, what's next in your life? Focus on what you can do and instead of what you can't do. This is important. It's a time to truly take that as an opportunity to take the things that are working, and those things that aren't quite working, change them.
Time to change. And that's great. I love what you said. It reminds me of innovation, not the products and services in the market, but innovation, human capital innovation. Every time we read a book, get a certification, get higher education, learn something new, we're innovating ourselves. We're becoming new and better models of ourselves. So if we are captured, kind of like shut in, and we don't have the opportunity to get out and do all the things that normally keeps us so busy, and we have time, even though I've heard people say this new virtual reality has us more busy because your bosses or your family members will say, well, I know where you are, you're at home, but carve out time for yourself to make time to do something different that's going to take you, like Dr. O'Reilly said, take you from this level to that level and help someone else in the process. So thank you. That was great. All right. Now, with the release of the new documentary, PBS, I love that. With this release of the new documentary, PBS Focusing on Your Work, your foundation launched a new campaign, Lift Women. I'd like to hear about the PBS documentary. This is fascinating. I mean, who gets a PBS documentary film? And tell us about when it might air, or what you know about it airing, and what is your goal in accomplishing this for women?
Yeah. Well, I think what we should first say is Dr. Sheila Robinson is one of the stars of the documentary. I mean, when you listen to you are so amazing and beautiful in that documentary. But it really is about all the different women's organizations. But the diversity and the inclusion it really is in this together more than anything. It's just really, again, to show what women have accomplished. Again, instead of the glass being half empty, it's half full. And I think that's what we have to do is we have to continue to look at, you were talking about the Museum for Women's History. We have to show what we've accomplished, and we've accomplished a lot, and we need to build upon that. We need to realize that women we've done some amazing things. We are talented. We are very, very capable, but we have to look at all the things that women have done in this world and to grow and to build upon that. So, the PBS, I'm excited about it. But, you know, again, what are people watching? You know, yeah, we're getting, it's been airing since March. It started airing in March, and it's quite impressive. Lawrence Fishburne does the introduction. So I hope everybody can just go on and Google it. It's PBS. It's going to be showing for the year. They basically own, I mean, they have the ownership of the film. After that, the documentary becomes ours. But in the meantime, we're using it to use it as far as the Lift Women Up campaign, to sell the book in this together. But again, the whole message is that when we are supporting each other, anything is possible. And we want young women to understand that more and more. Girls, I mean, everybody, the sooner the better that we do see this, visually see this. You know, we can't become what we can't see. We can't become what we can't read about or what we can hear about. So this is really what this documentary is. It really is. I think it's a culmination of everything that I've been doing, that my team and I have been doing, that I'm doing with other organizations like Diversity Women and Take the Lead, is that to really show what we're doing and what we can continue to do more of to make this a better world for all of us.
We thank you, Dr. O'Reilly. I tell you, you are such an amazing person. When I received a call from her office that her team shared that she wanted me to be a part of this PBS footage, and for, you know, that I was able to go into a studio and record my part, it was fascinating to me. And I'll have to say, the first documentary or any television that I've been a part of. So thank you so much for including me. And I was glad that I was able to contribute. And everything that I have heard is extremely successful. And you're right, I forgot Lawrence Fishburne. This is a series that he hosts. So please go in and host the Lawrence Fishburne show. And the name of the PBS film, and that is, what is the actual, I want to call it Lift Women Up.
Yeah. Yes.
What should they Google? I'm going to type this in now.
And again, they can always go to the website, and there's links there as well. But
Okay.
You know, again, this is the whole key of what we've been doing, Sheila, you and I, and Take the Lead, is that we really are just continuing to get that message out that women are important. We are capable, and we are deserving, and we have so much we can bring into this world, and that we have to offer, and not forget that. I do a video every day, and at the very end of every video, I say, remember, you're unique, and you're special, and there's no one like you in the whole wide world.
I love that, Nancy. Yes, I do. Okay, so all right, ladies, we're in this together. And let's see, next question. Thank you so much for sending the questions in to us. What do we know? What do we need to know right now about women's leadership? I'll let you answer that, Nancy, and I'll add a little bit to it too. What do we need to know right now about women's leadership?
Well, we talked about the glass ceiling as far as political and leadership there, but supporting other women running for office, I think that's number one. We have to have the leadership. We have to see visually. Like I said, we can't become what we can't see, what we can't hear, what we can't read about, you know, and then sponsor other women. Sponsor and mentor other women. You know, I'm sure, Sheila, you get calls all the time. You know, I'd really like for you to be my mentor. I'd really like for you to sponsor. That's truly an honor for someone to give to you. So just think about that. There's a woman out there right now that you could be lifting up and just sharing a little bit about what you've learned, and she can share with you, because it always, whatever you put out comes back to you threefold. And then join other women who are already in leadership roles, such as yourself, because we get a lot more done with Diversity Women and Women Connect for Good and Take the Lead. We can get a lot more done if we're going to isolate ourselves. Let's just get together and do more of what we're doing. And then, of course, engaging our male allies. I mean, it really is important, because there's always an opportunity for them and for us, for them and us. It's now we can work together.
We can. And I know that I think it's important that we lead by example. It's very, very important that we lead by example. And I have a book called Lead by Example, where I interview a lot of fascinating women who have inspired me and empowered me early in my career. And it just has made a difference. Another thing I would share is that I believe that it's important to plan. Planning is crucial, and I think writing it down and taking action to it. Every single thing I have done in my entrepreneurship career, the last 15 years, I had a 1 year, a 3 year, and a 5 year plan. I have one now. I have a 1 year plan. I have a plan where I want to be at the end of a year from here, COVID, and during COVID. And I have a 3 year plan, and I have a 5 year plan. When I went back in my early 50s to get my doctorate, I had a 1 year, a 3 year, a 5 year plan. One of them was by the end of this year, I want to have the application in, something that simple. I want to have the application in, submitted to at least 2 or 3 programs by the end of this year. So it doesn't matter what your plan is, but so I forced myself to have something to work towards every month. Well, if I'm going to do this by the end of the year, the end of this week, I got to do this. The end of this week, I got to do this. And I did the same thing with weight loss. I lost 25 pounds. And trust me, it took a 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year plan, because it has been the most difficult thing that I've had to do. So I encourage you, on the heels of what Dr. O'Reilly has said, to lead by example and, put things into plan and act on them. Okay, let's see here. What are 3 ways women can support each other professionally right now? Okay, great questions coming in here. What are 3 ways women can support each other professionally?
Oh, I think we've been talking about that all along, that again, just that support. I mean, again, I think you have to ask, first of all, ask for help. And I think that's something that we women aren't very good at times. Sometimes women have to put that Superwoman t-shirt under her suit or whatever, but asking for help, asking for support, asking for what you need. And then of course, turning around and asking how you can help. And of course, these all sound like very simple things, but it really is important. Like I said, Mary was a primary example of how can I help you? But, and then of course, continue to engage the men in our lives in that collaboration and support of one another. I'm stuck on it, but that's really what this is about.
But they work. They do work. And sometimes the simplest things are the most difficult for us to do, because we take for granted, oh, that's not going to work because it's too simple. But those are the things that work. And I challenge you also to not be afraid of the word no. Sometimes we as women, we are nurturers, and we're always so giving of ourselves that we don't ask of things because we probably feel like, we need to be more helpers or givers, but we need to start asking for help and not be afraid of the word no. Because had I been afraid of the word no when I started my organization, or, went for promotions on my job, I wouldn't be sitting where I am now. And we actually have on this call from New York, Rhea, who used to be global marketing director, my boss when I worked at DuPont. So, that's fascinating to me that she and I are still connected. Your network, building that network, that you have someone that you can call on and talk to and bounce things off of, and people that can look from the outside and see what you are capable of, and be able to share these things with you. She's always been like my hero and Shiro, and I was just fascinated by her talent. And I never thought in a million years that we would still be connected. I worked 14 years at DuPont and then 15 years in my career, and we're still connected. So that network that Nancy talks about, us building and being there for each other, is crucial. And I know we're at the top of the hour now. We have about 10 minutes left.
Let me just add one thing, because this is very, very important. Not everyone will like us. And I think that's the likability sometimes gets in the way of really gets in our way of really moving forward in our lives. Not everybody's going to like us and like what we do. Just that's life. That's life.
Yeah. And what I like to say about that, Nancy, is what somebody else says or does is a reflection of who they are. And what we say or do is a reflection of who we are. And so I think that it is important to not take it personal. Like when somebody, I first started, remember Dr. Maya Angelou said, you never know a person until they get rained on or to lose their luggage in the airport. And you think about that because that person has nothing to do with me. Their actions and how they handle something is a reflection of who they are. How I respond and react to it is a reflection of who I am. And that's how, ladies, how we continue to move forward when we don't allow anyone to deter us from who we are. So a couple of more questions, because I think we have about 8 more minutes. Let's see here. Let's see, Sarah, this can be challenges. How do you think women can bet? We've answered that one. We've been doing good. So this is saying, missed this one. This one might be a little sad, but we'll lift it up. Look at what's going on in the world right now. How do you recommend we stay supportive to each other?
Well, what I tell people in these videos I do every day, don't watch the news. Don't spend your life in front of the TV watching the news. Everything is so conflicted right now. I think you have to really stay within, stay in your group. What do you want to accomplish? But don't watch the news. Don't let the negative stuff, don't get involved in it. Don't stay away from it. Stay away from the negative people, the people that want chaos. They don't want calm. They want drama. You have to find the peace within, because there really are moments that you can find that you can truly take something positive from all of this. But again, I know it's hard for a lot of people, but you just have to stay away from the naysayers. The ones that are, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Stay away from them.
Yeah.
Time with people who really can lift you up. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, Dr. O'Reilly, your career is just amazing as a psychologist, as an author, as a documentary filmmaker, lift women up. Your podcast and everything you do, we're in this together. Everything is so inspirational and empowering. And I would just love for you to just share something that you would like to share with this audience, because they've all stayed on. I only see where people have stayed on. So,
well, when I'm doing these videos every day, I'm talking to myself. I am talking to myself as well, because, there's almost someone, there are days that I wake up and go, oh, but then, like I said, I surround myself with people that I truly want to be with. I'm spending more time with family and friends. Sure, social distancing, absolutely. But I'm spending my time in an environment, the very best environment that I can possibly find, for my spirit, for my soul, for my psychological well-being. And then, those days that I need something extra, I'm reaching out. I'm reaching out and calling someone. I'm calling a friend and saying, geez, I'm not having a great day today, or, I'm feeling, stuck or whatever. But again, we have to continue to connect with the people that are really going to lift you up. Connect with the people that are going to be positive. And again, stay away from people who are going to bring you down. I mean, it's just not, this isn't the time to spend time with them. They're not going, they like where they are, you know. You don't need to go with them. You go with the people that are moving forward. Moving forward. Yes. Moving.
That is wonderful. Well, thank you. Well, ladies, we are in this together. We are in this together as we are moving forward, trying to continue to have the visibility we need to continue to advance in our career. I do know that talking to many of my clients, organizations need their talent to be resilient. They want you focused. They want you to, help them navigate through this time. And so those are the opportunities that Dr. O'Reilly has shared with us today, to take some opportunities. I remember when I used to work in corporate America, my philosophy to myself was my job was to make my boss's job easier. So have that kind of mindset where instead of looking for what my organization is going to do for me, let's take this time to reset and reimagine and think about what we can do for our organization. If there's anyone out there that has been furloughed or displaced because of COVID, there are organizations that are hiring. I know Lowe's is hiring, I know Target is hiring, and I'm talking about in leadership roles. And we have a job site on our website. We have a career board that are careers specifically for professional women. If you are out of employment right now and are looking, please visit that. We also will have a career fair on the second day of our conference, October 8th and 9th. The conference the theme of the conference will be Power Forward. Dr. Nancy is going to be there, and all of our friends from the past. We're going to even make a way. We're going to try to make a way where we all have on T-shirts that say Power Forward, and that we all are engaged and united and come together for that time, October the 8th, because we cannot afford to take one step backwards. And those of you on the call with us, you're all innovators. You're all entrepreneurs. You're all extraordinary. Think of something that you do that's fascinating that you can start a business on. Entrepreneurship for women is going to be really, really, there's a growth opportunity for women in business. All right, and so Crystal, thank you, has put our career website board, job board up if anyone is looking for a job or knows of anyone that needs a job. But that is all we have, and we have 2 minutes left, and it is our courtesy that always to give our special guests last words, whether it's a quote, a poem, or whatever, but Dr. Nancy O'Reilly, we give the last 2 minutes to you to just salute us off and farewell us all off. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, it's truly been an honor, and it's always a pleasure to spend time with you, Sheila. It's always delightful. I can't look, I just wish we could spend more time together. I can't wait for us to have the virtual part for sure, but the physical part too. But I think the most important, there's many words that are in the vocabulary that are important right now. But I was talking to one of my podcast guests a couple of weeks ago, and the word empathy came up. And I think that's what we all need to have right now for each other is empathy, the ability to be sensitive to one another, to understand where we're each coming from, but also to understand where other people are coming from. No assumptions, no stinking thinking, that we truly want to communicate clearly with one another, again, what we need and what we can offer and and how we can support each other. So this really is an important time for us to learn about really the importance of really connecting with one another, but empathy, and of course, hope. hope for a better day. But I mean, we're getting there. We're getting there, and I really truly believe things that we're doing right now, this particular this time that we're spending together. Hopefully, there will be people that will understand that they're very special, they're very unique, and there's nobody like them in the whole wide world.
All right. In this together. Thank you so much and farewell. Wishing you all a wonderful end of week and weekend, and hope to see you next Thursday. Thank you, Dr. O'Reilly. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. It was wonderful.